What is, huh? This is my closet, but why am I... locked? Key, there's gotta be a... Hello, Zibboyeye, or as you know on the net, Zib. The predicament you are in is probably growing more and more apparent as you desperately stare at the monitor for answers. However, despite being your captor, I can assure you, you have no one to blame but yourself for this. You are here for one reason, and one reason only. I like to play up. Oh, sorry, I was coughing on that cliche joke. Jigsaw? Yes? What is it? Oh, nothing. I just wasn't expecting that. Also, it's Jigsaw. Get it? Yeah, I get it. Wait, if this is a DVD, how can you respond to me? Let's just say I know you inside and... Oh! Okay. So, what am I here for? To play a game! Oh. What game are we playing? Guess! Parcheesi? Ooh, actually I'd rather like that, but no! The game you will be playing today is one of judgment. The disc you inserted into the Blu-ray player is one of 3 discs containing 7 films. With you are some facts about these films. However, you only have to watch one of them and record a review onto the given camera. The movie? Saw! No way. No. These movies are known everywhere as nothing more than just torture porn. I can't do this. Don't give me that. After all, seeing is believing. And who knows, you just may like it. Bye-bye. Enjoy the movie. Guess I don't have much of a choice. Hey guys, Zibboyeye, or just Zib is fine. Sorry for the circumstances. Now, I don't need these Saw facts to know this series' reputation. These movies came out every Halloween for several years. You probably heard one of the brutal scenes from lovers of the macabre in high school, while movie buffs groan at the mere thought of their exploitation. At least, that's what I've always heard, and that's what's always kept me from watching this series. And although I'm hesitant to start, I gotta agree with Jigsaw. Seeing is believing, and I will never truly know the quality of these films unless I see them for myself. And what better way to do that than being forced to? Let's start the film. So the movie starts with a... He then plays Lawrence's tape, but not before a little back and forth.
You throw me your tape.
I like this because even something as simple as playing a tape starts a conflict and gets you thinking. Within the bag is the titular Saw. We cut to 5 months ago where cops, Tap and his partner Singh, are investigating a crime scene. Jigsaw, a killer who captures his victims and leaves them to die by their own hands, and... Okay, I don't like these scenes a whole lot. They glorify the injuries with a lot of close-up shots, and it feels like, well, what the series is known for. Now, so that you can digest my criticism without seeing any disturbing imagery, I'm going to censor some of the scenes like this in this film. Somehow, while I'm trapped in my closet without a computer or editing software. Also, he's named Jigsaw after the shape he cuts into his victims. However, neither Adam nor Lawrence have the shape of a jigsaw cut into them, so it feels really inconsistent. The scene has more of a purpose than just showing gore, however. The scene shows the audience the nature of Jigsaw's game, and also establishes his modus operandi of watching his victims play. Speaking of positives, I like how this scene sort of bridges the story. By using the crimes Lawrence has seen on the news, it ties into the introduction to the other side of the story, the cops who have actually investigated these crimes. They find a lead in a pen that was left at the crime scene. We then cut to, oh hey, it's that guy from Lost. Hey guys, I was on the set of Lost when I had to go to the bathroom, but looks like I ended up in Saw. I guess you could say I got lost. He's playing Zepp, who, for such a minor part of the scene, gets an awkward amount of focus. He's in the middle of the shot and everyone stops to look at him. All he does is give the name of the patient near Lawrence before Lawrence goes to meet with the police. The scene feels awkward and pointless with such an intense focus on a minor character.
This is yours, Doctor.
So the detectives assert that Lawrence is a viable suspect and take him to the department. There, they make him listen to the testimony of the only survivor to see how he reacts.
Live or die. Make your choice.
So in order to cope with her enclosing demise, she starts rocking out. Jokes aside, this scene is another that feels like an exploitation movie with its emphasis on gore. But at the same time, I have to commend the cinematography for creating a consistency with the film. All of Jigsaw's games have an off-white balance that really accentuates the uncomfortable feeling of their environment. The cool colors they use also give off a sense of isolation. And I forgot to mention, I love the film grain. It portrays the crude nature of these games really well. We return to the game. Lawrence mentions his children as we flash back to the day before.
There's a man in my room.
Lawrence checks, but it seems like it was just her imagination and totally isn't gonna bite him in the ass later. We flash back again to find that the doctor and his wife have a rather tense relationship with each other now.
Good night, little girl.
Well, why didn't you scream like that the first time? Oh my god, it's that guy from that scene that brought unnecessary attention to him!
Hey, say, remember 118th Street?
Oh yeah, I definitely remember that street never before mentioned in the movie. They decide to strike while the iron's hot and go it alone. No way, it's the official Saw playset with Adam and Lawrence action figures. I always wanted one of these. Playtime is interrupted, however. The cops get the drop on him as Jigsaw starts another game. Okay, you got him right where you want him. All you have to do is unhood him. Just remove his hood and you can identify the killer.
Think of those who scoff at the...
Remove his hood! Jigsaw turns things around, however, because the cop is an idiot. Actually, why is the movie so insistent on hiding Jigsaw's identity? We already saw who it is, it's Zepp. Right? Singh chases Jigsaw, but then... Wait, how come none of the other games they've investigated have had any contingency plans for if cops arrive? You could argue Jigsaw disarms them after the game is over, but wait, what if the guy in the game survived and ended up triggering the trap on his way out? It'd be kind of a cheap game over, wouldn't it? Oh well, it's a quick scene, and honestly, I'm still engrossed in this movie that I can overlook it. We cut back to the game where...
Turn off the lights.
Now they can see the X, in which is a box that is opened by the key from the beginning of the movie. The movie is really engaging. For example, you ask yourself, what is the key at the beginning for? Then later you get an answer that leads you to ask more questions. As he gets into an argument with Adam, spurring Adam to reveal the picture he hid.
Behind the photo of your daughter.
I love how fluidly emotions shift in this movie. One minute you can be mad at a character, then the next feel sorry for them. It creates such a depth around their interactions that you just feel completely invested in these characters' struggle. Lawrence then devises a plan to trick Jigsaw. Okay, I love Adam as a character, especially in this scene that encompasses both comedy and suspense. Jigsaw shocks Adam, however, and the plan fails. Then Adam remembers how he got here. Adam falls asleep and later wakes up, only to be attacked by Jigsaw. You know, I could say, oh, Jigsaw could have just captured him in his sleep rather than luring him with his puppet, and it'd be true, but then we wouldn't get this suspenseful scene now, would we? But is it really that suspenseful? We already found out Zeb was Jigsaw a long time ago. Zeb is Jigsaw, right? Back to present day, Lawrence gets a call from his wife.
Don't believe Adam's lies.
Not that Lawrence doesn't have any secrets either. As it turns out, Adam found out that Lawrence had a mistress, but Adam notices something's off.
Zep.
Is it trying to pretend this is Zep's reveal? If it is, a bit too late for that. We already saw his face, even though the movie tried to hide it behind a curtain and a crappy camera. But it seems time is up, and Lawrence hasn't killed Adam yet. The family turns the tables on Zep, but not for long. This sends Tap to their place, and it's all-out chaos as Lawrence is left on the phone, thinking those loud bangs are his family being murdered. Tap then chases Zep into the sewers.
Same thing happened to me, see?
These scenes are tough. It just pains you to see Lawrence in so much distress as Adam, utterly confused, is trying to regain his trust. The phone rings, but Lawrence can't reach it. This scene is a double whammy. You're gritting your teeth for Lawrence and crying your eyes out for Adam. As if your head wasn't spinning enough, the editing goes crazy as it constantly switches from the game to the fight until Lawrence gets free and in a last desperate effort to win the game, aims the gun at Adam. You empathize with Lawrence, but at the same time you can't help but feel a sense of betrayal. Zep enters the room. Oh god, it's all over. Adam, you're alive! Zep dies and Lawrence is left to crawl his way out. There's a sense of ambivalence with this scene. Since the beginning of the movie, both characters' goals were to escape. However, when only one can do so, you almost don't want to see him leave. They started as complete strangers who became friends that relied on each other for survival. It's a dosage of irony that sits sickly in your gut. They grow closer and closer throughout the whole movie, only to end as separate as they were before.
Hello, Mr. Hindle.
Wait, if he's just another player, then I don't believe it. Who's that guy?
Frontal lobe tumor.
Oh my god, it's that other guy from that scene that amounted to nothing until just now.
Key to that chain is in the bathtub.
Dang. And that was Saw. What do I say? I loved it. I love how many different perspectives built up on each other. You have the cops directly chasing down this murderer. Then you have Lawrence and Adam piecing their past together, revealing more and more of these characters' secrets. Your first impression of these people is that Adam is just an average guy and Lawrence is just a professional doctor. But by the end, you realize both of them have some dirt of their own. They're like a puzzle that gets pieced together as the movie progresses. Actually, I could say that about the nature of this film in general. The whodunit mystery, the pasts of these characters, and the game itself, things you didn't think much of come back and form an answer. For example, I love how the pen from the hospital and the opiates that were used to sedate Jigsaw's victims are explained by the end. Or rather, I like how they aren't explicitly told to the audience and you have to connect the dots yourself. The pen from the hospital, the opiates, it all makes sense once you know the Jigsaw killer was able to get those because he was a patient at the hospital. Is this movie perfect? I want to say not by a long shot. For instance, I didn't even mention the contradictory dialogue with Zep. His dialogue is written as if he's relishing in holding these girls hostage, which helps trick you into thinking that he's Jigsaw, but really, the script forsakes the character's perspective in order to mislead the audience. He was forced to play this game against his will. Also, may I remind you of the lack of tact in his character introduction, which said barely anything about him besides, he exists, just for the sake of the twist making you think he's Jigsaw. Speaking of Jigsaw, his motivations were really unique, even if underdeveloped. A killer who forces his victims to kill themselves or each other, it's an excellent setup, although you can still see some discrepancies in it in this film. If he wants to make people cherish life, well, he sort of undermines this because people like Adam or Amanda's boyfriend, who are intended to be killed in his games, don't learn how to cherish life. Especially how Adam survives, yet Jigsaw leaves him to die. Or maybe that's why he told him the key was in the bathtub, so he could get out? It makes me wonder what would have happened if the key didn't go down the drain.
The key's in the bathtub.
Oh yeah, you're right. Thanks.
Anytime.
Another flaw with Jigsaw is that he's barely introduced, just like Zepp. You can tell they crammed these two into this scene because the writers couldn't properly introduce or implement them as characters prior to the plot twist. It's just a lazy way to say that the characters were something before to justify calling their dubious turns a reveal, because otherwise they would just be bad guys all the way through the movie. Yeah, there are some goofs here and there, but they're easy to forget about because of how minuscule they are and how good the film was. Also, don't take some of my stupider jokes that seriously as criticism. Sometimes I just wanted to poke fun at things just for the sake of poking fun at them. But finally, did this movie live up to expectations? I mean, as an unforgiving gore fest made for those who dine on the brutality of those suffering, defining the torture porn genre of the 2000s. Kinda, a bit, sometimes. I think it's best to explain exploitation as a genre first, before we try to say if this film is exploitation or not. Exploitation means that there is no value in terms of story, characters, or themes. Instead, the film focuses on superficial aspects which are used to drive people into the theater. In this case, gore. Well, first, I think this movie has a good story and great characters, so the answer for me is no. Mostly. Yeah, there were some gory scenes that will make you uncomfortable. Thinking back, I remember this person from school saying she couldn't even get past these parts, but these scenes, although giving many close-up shots on the gore, have a purpose. But let's go back to the getting people into the theater part of the definition. The poster for this movie features Lawrence's battered foot below a saw. There's even a poster of Amanda's game, and that was barely 8 minutes of the film. Did it highlight gore? Yeah, occasionally. But if you notice, those scenes were mainly front-loaded into the beginning of the movie. It felt like they thought of story first and added aspects like that last. Think about it. When Lawrence is cutting off his foot, the movie barely shows any of it. It's almost like they knew some viewers wouldn't be able to handle it, so they refrained from showing it to allow them to keep their investment in this scene.
See, that wasn't so bad.
You know, you're right. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yay! You can go now. The door's unlocked.
Oh, thanks, even though you locked me in here in the first place. You aren't so bad, Jigsaw?
Aw, thanks.
Okay, now I can get out of here.
Hey, what's up? Why did the door lock?